Welcome to Lotus Lane Daily. I'm glad you're here. Today's wisdom is for anyone going through something hard. You know that feeling when you catch yourself in a window or a video call and there is half a second where you do not recognize the person looking back? Or when you reach for something on a low shelf and your knees file a complaint? Or you cannot find a word you have used 1,000 times and a small cold thought goes through you? This is happening. This is actually happening to me. If you're reading this at night, quietly grieving a body that no longer does what it used to, you should know that this grief is real and it is not vanity and it is not weakness. It is one of the most human sorrows there is, and almost nobody talks about it honestly. So, this is a real loss, not a complaint. The world treats grief over an aging body as something slightly embarrassing. Be grateful you are alive, people say. Aging is a privilege. Both of those things can be true, and you can still be genuinely grieving. Because you are losing real things. You are losing capability. The body that ran without thinking, that recovered overnight, that you could simply rely on, is becoming a body you have to manage and negotiate with. You are losing a certain ease of being in the world. You may be losing a face you knew, an energy you took for granted, activities that were part of who you are. And underneath all of it, you are losing a particular relationship with time, the comfortable sense that the future is long and open. That is a profound loss, and pretending it is trivial only makes you grieve it alone. The part that stings most. For many people, the hardest thing is not any single physical change. It is the feeling of becoming invisible or of being quietly resorted by the world into a smaller category. People speak to you a little differently. You notice yourself being talked past, or talked slowly to, or no longer being seen as someone with a future worth investing in. And there is the strange interior mismatch. Inside, you do not feel like an old person. The you that is doing the noticing feels much the same as it always has, curious and alive and unfinished. The gap between that inner self and the body and the social role can feel like a kind of grief for which there is no funeral and no card. None of this is you being shallow. It is you registering accurately that something is being lost. The accurate response to a real loss is grief. What actually helps? This will not stop time, nothing does, but these are honest things that help people carry it. Let yourself name what you have lost, specifically. Vague low-grade sadness is harder to carry than a named grief. Sit with it honestly. I miss being able to do that. I miss that version of my face. I miss not having to think about my body. A line from old philosophical writing puts it gently, that grief is the proof of the depth of what we loved, and that we should not be ashamed of it. You loved being alive in that body. Of course, its passing hurts. Name it, and it becomes something you can hold rather than a fog you live inside. Separate the changeable from the unchangeable. Some of what is happening cannot be reversed, and fighting it directly only produces exhaustion and bitterness. But a real portion of how you feel and function is genuinely within reach. Strength, balance, and stamina respond to attention at any age. Sleep, movement, food, eyesight, hearing, your teeth, your mood. Tending these is not vanity and not denial. It is care for the body you actually have. The old writers had a practical line about this. Take care of your body, because it is the only vehicle you have for the whole of your life. Treat it with respect, and that respect is repaid in capability. Move your attention from decline to use. A body can be measured two ways: by what it has lost compared to 20 years ago, which is a losing game, or by what it can still do today and what you choose to do with it. The second question is the livable one. What does this body still let you reach, hold, walk to, make, enjoy? That list is longer than grief wants you to believe, and using it well is its own quiet form of defiance. Talk to someone instead of carrying it silently. This grief thrives in silence because everyone assumes everyone else is fine with aging. They are not. Say the honest thing to a friend, a partner, your own age or older. I have been grieving my body, and it is harder than I expected. You will almost always find the other person exhale and say, quietly, me too. The same body of writing notes that a single warm word can give someone the courage to go on. This is one of those conversations where the warmth runs both directions. Get checked, do not just worry. Some of what feels like aging is treatable. Joints, vision, hearing, energy, mood, sleep. Worrying about it alone in the dark changes nothing. A clear conversation with a doctor can turn a vague dread into a short list of things that can actually be addressed. Do not let grief talk you out of getting help that exists. What aging does not take. Here is the part the culture, obsessed with youth, almost never says. The body changes, and some of what it could do is genuinely gone. But the things that make a life deep are not the things that fade first. Your capacity for love did not peak at 30. Your understanding of people, your humor, your ability to be truly present with someone, your sense of what actually matters, those tend to grow, not shrink, well into the years when the knees are complaining. The old writers made a point that lands here, that true wisdom is not cleverness, but the depth of life to understand what is genuinely important. That depth is something the years give you, not take. The face in the window has changed. The person doing the looking has, if anything, become more. And there is a steadier thought from the same writing, offered for the larger fear underneath all of this, that the essence of a person, their warmth, their kindness, the love they put into the world, is not as fragile as the body that carries it. You are not only your reflexes and your skin, you are the sum of what you have loved and made and given, and that sum keeps growing while the body slows. That is not a consolation prize. That is the actual center of a life, and it is not aging at all. For tonight, you do not have to make peace with this tonight. The grief is allowed. Aging is genuinely a series of small losses, and you are allowed to mourn each one without being scolded into gratitude before you are ready. But when the grief loosens its grip a little, try this. Tomorrow, do one thing that this body, the one you actually have right now, can still do and still enjoy. A walk where the light is good, a meal you love, time with someone whose company is easy, not as a distraction from the loss, but as a quiet insistence that the body is still for living in, not only for grieving. The years ahead are shorter than the years behind. That is the hard truth that woke you up tonight. But shorter is not the same as empty, and slower is not the same as over. You are still here, still yourself, still capable of being moved and of moving others. Be gentle with the body that carried you this far. It has, whatever it can no longer do, done a great deal. And so have you. That's the wisdom for today. If something here landed for you, share it with one person who might need to hear it too. Take it slow. I'll see you tomorrow on Lotus Lane Daily.